is up, Dallas Mavericks fans? This was I just want to just call it an ugly game. And I'm going to say more so, especially, let's talk about the first half. We're talking about the Dallas Mavericks leaving the first half with 30 points. I don't know if we're going to see that for a long time. Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic, they did not have great first halves, but I'm going to say the number one thing you learn about postseason basketball, especially in the NBA, the number one thing I'm going to say again is role players have got to step up because the possessions will get tighter and tighter, and you're going to see, obviously, the number one thing you saw from the LA Clippers in their first half without Kawhi Leonard. We're talking about a team that is still on this team has a James Harden, a Paul George. You still have a Terrence Mann, and you're going to talk about Zubac today. He is to me, I'm going to say early on, he's the tone setter for what the Clippers were able to get done. James Harden was, I guess you want to say roll back the clock of time a little bit with just his performance in that first half, being able to set that tone and put the Dallas Mavericks behind the gun a little bit. But Zubac was pretty much the one that I'm going to give majority of the credit to when it comes to setting the tone for what the Clippers were able to do in that first half, more so. Because when you're looking at, I guess you want to say one of the advantages the Dallas Mavericks have been looking to hang on to going into this postseason, it was the big man play. I've talked about it a little bit. You see national media start to talk about it a little bit. And Daniel Gafford, that combination between Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively, both of those guys together, you were expecting them to be able to come out and step up. And to me, I was going to say different looks because I felt like Daniel Gafford is our more physical guy at this point of his career, and you're looking at Derek Lively as that change of pace guy. Again, he's able to be, I guess you want to say, obviously, I've given Daniel Gafford a little bit of credit because you've seen Derek Lively, the intensity has definitely ramped up over the last few months of the regular season. But when you're looking at those type guys, a guy like Derek Lively, he's going to be able to give a different look to a guy like Zubac. But and again, I'm speaking about Zubac, he took advantage of Daniel Gafford early on in the game, putting him in foul trouble, and Derek Lively couldn't find his footing because also we do know he's still dealing with some personal things that he's having to, I guess, kind of maneuver his way through with the help of his teammates and just family, his loved ones around him. But the Dallas Mavericks did not come into this game ready, and that starts with Luka Doncic. I'm going to put a lot of the onus on Luka Doncic early in the game. You do know, at the end of the day, like I said, role players have got to step up because one thing is going to be for sure, you're looking at adjustments. This is not talking about the regular season where you can kind of let guys get off and kind of have their way with you. In the postseason, you're going to see a little bit change of game plans. And the Clippers, I'm going to say, when you looked at what they were trying to do, it was pretty much kind of, I guess you want to say, putting their hands and face guarding a little bit on a guy like Kyrie Irving, a guy like Luka Doncic, and allowing other guys to beat them. Derrick Jones Jr. has some drives to the basket. Easy floaters did not fall. Dante Exum, some floaters and some open shots did not fall. We're talking about PJ Washington. His shots were not falling early in the game. And talking about Daniel Gafford again, the biggest issue he had today was getting completely dominated. And that's something we have not seen many times. It doesn't matter who the opponent is. We can talk about the weakness of the opponents over the last stretch of the final season, the better teams that we played against. Daniel Gafford has not really gotten bullied up to this point. And Zubac was having his way with him. And also Derek Lively, again, the guy we're still trying to find his footing in his first postseason of his career. This is going to be something I'm going to say I'm not going to overreact like everyone else kind of is. And at the end of the day, I'm going to say right now, if you feel like overreacting, if you feel like the sky is falling, I won't say that you're wrong because at the end of the day, we do know there's some urgency. You didn't bring a Kyrie Irving to the Dallas Mavericks to be able to be coming around and getting smacked around in the first half of postseason games, especially game one. You had lots of intensity. All you've heard is talking about everybody being locked in, the team paying attention to detail. And we did not see that in the first half. But a lot of that, I'm going to say, was just due to missed shots. Zubac, yes, he was setting the tone. James Harden was getting his in the flow of game. Paul George here and there, he wasn't really aggressive today. But you're gonna say a guy like Russell Westbrook came off the bench. He was playing with lots of energy. Some of those things got the Mavericks in trouble. But 30 points in the first half from a Dallas Mavericks offense, do not count on seeing that many times. The Dallas Mavericks in the second half did make a push, but these are some games that I'm going to say when you're looking at what exactly is going to be something the Dallas Mavericks have to focus on going forward, is going to have to be playing with that aggressiveness. That's the number one thing. Playing with aggressiveness from tip off. The Clippers came out here ready to go from the tip of the ball, and the Dallas Mavericks were not. That's the difference in this game. And again, we could talk about pretty much the game getting closer, because I'm going to say at the end of the day, I believe the Clippers went up by 30 points, more than 30 points at a certain point in this game. But you're looking at, when you're talking about the difference in postseason basketball, it's going to be who pays attention to detail. Once again, there were so many situations I'm going to talk about today where we're looking at that we can talk about from this game, especially Jason Kidd. Ty Lue gave, I guess you want to say, put on a master class of just being able to find the momentum and hold on to it and stop it when, again, it starts to slip away from you. The Dallas Mavericks did make a push in the second half, which I fully expected because you have primetime scorers and playmakers, Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, and again, you have the mix of other guys, but those are the two guys that I'm not going to say this is going to be a game where you're looking at Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic leading any offense is going to score 30 points in the first half of an NBA game. It's just not happening. Postseason or whatever you want to call it. So again, if you want to get into the sky is falling right now, I'm not going to say you're wrong just because, yes, we all want to have urgency. The team did not come out with that same urgency today. I know the fan base is feeling very urgent because we don't want to continue to see another season go by and let it slip away due to the team in the Los Angeles Clippers. Of course, this is a different mix. They did not have Kawhi Leonard today, and everybody can kind of get into, oh, Kawhi Leonard comes back, it's going to be much better. They're going to be. That's not how basketball works. We can talk, again, when you simplify it, that's the number one thing I think I hate about NBA and basketball discourse nowadays, dialogue. It's all fully about narrative. People want to talk about narratives. Nobody wants to go into the concept of saying, this is one game. There are going to be adjustments made on both sides. Let's be clear. I'm not saying the Mavericks are going to come here and make these adjustments and continue to ride what we took into the second half into game two, and as if the Clippers are not going to also make any adjustments. But this is a game of momentum. We are on the road. Let's start there. The Dallas Mavericks are on the road. The number one thing you've seen so many times this year, especially, the Dallas Mavericks will get hot or we get off to a slow start sometimes, even at home. But when you're playing in front of your own home crowd, you can kind of build your way back into it a little bit earlier. When you're playing on the road, all you hear is you feel like it's against the world against you at this point. And today, that's exactly what happened in the first half. So the Dallas Mavericks, again, this is going to be a game that's very ugly. The Dallas Mavericks fall to the LA Clippers in game one of these Western Conference playoffs. The LA Clippers 109, the Dallas Mavericks 97. Let's look at this box score real quick. Taking a look at this game, Luka Doncic, 33 points, 13 total rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal, 4 turnovers. An ugly game, and then we can get into the numbers. 33 points, 13 rebounds. I'm not giving credit for anybody from this game, especially. We can talk about Kyrie Irving got a little hot in the second half, tried to help lead that comeback. But we're talking about in 42 minutes, Luka Doncic shoots 11 of 26, 4 of 12 on 3. He did shoot 7 of 8 from the free throw line, but this was a game I want to say personally. This is just personally. This is a personal opinion. The number one thing you have to say when you get into the playoffs, you cannot continue to beat your head. Bang your head against the wall. One thing I saw early on in the game, we do know Luka Doncic, he's a playmaker. He wants to get other teammates involved. He loves being a team guy as well. But when you're looking at the flow of a playoff game, you have got to have urgency. I will say a lot of times we were looking at early on in the game. You saw, again, PJ Washington was missing open shots. Derrick Jones Jr. was missing some. Once you saw Dante Exum get in the game, Maxi Kleber was just scared to shoot today. 0 of 3. And he didn't even look comfortable on these shots he was taking. So these are some guys. Tim Hardaway Jr. shoots 2 of 5, and there were just, again, ups and downs. Again, pretty much like I said, to me, if it would feel like you're piling on certain players at this point, it was just an ugly team effort, and that goes with Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, because when you're talking about the postseason, like I was about to get into the point of, Luka Doncic, he wanted to get guys involved early on, but once you see that the rest of the teammates, or your teammates especially, your role players, more importantly, are not knocking down their shots in the postseason, I want to see that killer instinct. I want to see guys go after it. And I would have loved to see Luka Doncic try to grab hold of things. Obviously, his shot wasn't falling as well a little bit to start the game. But I want to see my 2 top guys take control of this game until everyone else can find some flow. Pick up the tempo. We saw the Clippers. One thing we kind of thought about going into this game was that the Clippers were not going to be able to play with that same aggressiveness because they might go small ball. And maybe somehow the Dallas Mavericks can be able to use some of that physicality from our big men against the Clippers. But they kept Zubac in there for pretty much, I'm going to say, for a big part of this game. Looking at Zubac, he did play, 33 minutes today. Ends up with 20 points, 15 rebounds. And I'm not going to say Zubac is a bad player because when we've talked about just the concepts of what the Dallas Mavericks could have possibly done going into this game one against the Los Angeles Clippers, I said Zubac is a very capable big man. He's a capable big man. Look at Paul George shooting 8 of 20 on field goals, 4 of 12 from the three-point line, 22 points, 6 rebounds. James Harden, 28 points, 8 of 17, 6 of 11. Again, and I say Russell Westbrook, 13 points off the bench, a big 13 points in 23 minutes, 5 of 8. Again, he just gave lots of, big spark plug for what the Clippers were trying to get done today. But I'm not going to be expecting Zubac to be able to give this performance repeatedly. And I'm not saying he can't have a solid game too, but I'm just going to say throughout an entire series, I'm not counting on Zubac being the one that's going to dominate this. But I do see, if you have any heart, if you were talking about a Daniel Gafford who played 14 minutes, 3 points, he was a -8. He did not have any impact on this game. If you're looking at a guy like that, if Daniel Gafford is who we believe he is, he has any heart, he's going to come out there with a chip on his shoulder in game 2. And that goes for Derek Lively, too, who played 19 minutes, 3 points. He was a -19. And again, sometimes the context of plus minuses gets lost in the mix. But this was not a game that I want to see our big man hang on to, because I feel like if they have any intensity and again, you want to show that you are a grown man at the end of the day. You're going to come into game 2 with just a chip on your shoulder, like I said, and a fire that you did not have in game 1. Zubac beat Daniel Gafford up completely early and often. Like I said, early foul trouble, and then you're looking at a guy like Derek Lively, again, still trying to find his way. Zubac is a big man. He has some experience, I will say. He's been in this league for a few years at this point. So these are just some games. It's hard to I guess you want to go into and overanalyze. But one thing you have to be very careful of, I've said many times, is overcorrecting. Sometimes when you overcorrect what you didn't get done, sometimes when you overcorrect what you thought maybe we can do a little different, you can also cause more issues, because it's not necessarily the game plan. Sometimes it's just executing it. I'll talk about, again, we're going to get into the Clippers. Like I said, Terrence Mann with 13 points, James Harden 28, Zubac with 20 and 15. Then you look at Paul George with 22, like I said, Russell Westbrook with 13 off the bench. Norman Powell did not have a crazy impact on this game. We're talking about with 5 points. The Dallas Mavericks, as ugly as this game was, we gave up a total of 109 points. This defense is nothing that I'm going to try to switch around and completely change what we have gotten done throughout this entire tenure of the, I guess you want to say since the All-Star break. But the Dallas Mavericks, if they have any intensity, if they have, again, just any real championship aspirations, of course, that could seem bleak because we're talking about just based on the appearance of this game, I guess just to start off this playoffs. Then, of course, a lot of people are going to start to question their predictions of maybe the Dallas Mavericks are not that kind of contending team. But I have not lost my confidence in this team. This was a road game. It was game 1, playing in the Clippers home arena. Now, all you have to do, find out all your mistakes, go watch film, figure out what you did not get done, because we will have a game in a couple days. You don't have any time to hang your heads, drop your heads, feel sorry for yourself, feel bad for yourself. You have to get back in the lab, get to work on these mistakes, and I want to see everybody improve. That also includes Jason Kidd. When it comes to just being able, there was a certain play, a James Harden 3. Man, I don't care if we would have lost the challenge, got it right, whatever it is. It's a certain situation where you're looking at saying, this is the playoffs. We have nothing to hold back. Challenge the play call. It was a Maxi Kleber, I believe, a foul on Maxi Kleber, James Harden shooting 3 free throws. Call the challenge. Just show your guys that you engage with them as well as the head coach. Jason Kidd cannot fall back into the same mistakes and just being kind of that guy, as we famously have heard him say in a postseason one game. I'm watching the game with the rest of you guys. We do not want to hear that from your head coach. Everybody has to figure out what they did wrong in this game, figure out what they contributed, and I'm going to say everybody contributed to this loss. But get it together, work on the mistakes that you did make, and ball back up top for game 2, and the Dallas Mavericks are still going to be in a great position. Game 2 for the Dallas Mavericks will be Tuesday, 9 p.m. Central time. I believe it will be on TNT. This is a game the Dallas Mavericks have got to go and grab. Of course, we can say, the whole old adage, I'll say, the series doesn't start until the road team wins a game. This, to me, if the Dallas Mavericks are as serious as they say they are, you have got to pull out game 2. I don't want to hear it's 0-2, but now we go home and we still have our home court advantage. I don't want to hear that. No, you have got to grab game 2. You have got to show the Clippers that you are a serious team, and then we'll see how the rest of the series plays out. But I feel like the Dallas Mavericks are going to come in there with a chip on their shoulder now, because you got punched in the face. On national TV, it was prime time, essentially, talking about for a Sunday game at 2:30. The Dallas Mavericks embarrassed themselves, and I'm sure, again, there are many guys on this team that are very proud. We're talking about a P.J. Washington, a guy with 11 points this game, but again, it was not a pretty game from him as well. The defense was still somewhat solid. I'm not gonna crap on it, because one thing we could talk about, again, we did give up 50-something points. We're talking about to the LA Clippers in the first half. It wasn't as if they put up 85, 90 points in the first half and we only scored 30. It was still somewhat of an engaged game if our offense didn't completely just fall asleep in the first half. This is a game the Dallas Mavericks have got to, I don't want to say write off, but as a fan base, we should be able to say, you know what? There are some things we can still take away from this, and there were a couple positives. I'm not going to say there were many, but there were a couple positives. The Dallas Mavericks still have a lot to play for, and if you're going to be a serious team, like I said, you have got to come in there and snatch game 2. Forget the 0-2 and come back home and tie it at 2-2. No. grab this game in game 2, make it 1-1, and then go back home and see where the cards fall. I appreciate you guys for all the support. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and share. You guys are amazing. The Dallas Mavericks, again, came up just a little bit short compared to where we started the first half. The LA Clippers final score 109, the Dallas Mavericks 97. It was not a pretty game, but again, there's still too much to play for, and you cannot hang your heads going forward. So continue to lock in. I appreciate you guys for all the support once again, and as always, go Mavs.